Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining me. We're going to go ahead and get started in about 5 minutes. Just want to start a little early and allow everyone to join in and get comfortable before we start talking about branding. If you all can hear me, leave a comment. Just want to make sure everyone can hear well. And thank you all for joining. Can't wait to jump into the discussion with everyone about personal branding and building your voice on LinkedIn. I'm going to give it a few minutes. Our start time is 12 p.m. So we have about 4 to 5 minutes before we go ahead and get started. All right, everyone. Thank you all for joining me this afternoon to talk about branding, building a personal brand, and really, it's a process of trying to understand who we are as people. This whole idea of a personal brand, right? Some people think about it and they're like, you must be arrogant to think about building a personal brand for yourself. Who are you? But the reality is, personal brand, if you translate it to, a more common term, It's reputation. It's about building your reputation and carving it out strategically. Now, in today's age, it's become far more talked about, spoken about from an early age. I mean, if you think about TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat, and all these different platforms, everybody from a young age nowadays is trying to build themselves into becoming an influencer, which to an extent is a personal brand. But it is far more important today than in any other age, because you can't get your voice out there without providing content, providing engagement, networking with people. You are really relevant based off of your social media network. And I know this is a weird way to think about it, but that is the world we're living in. And when we think about building a brand, it's so difficult on some platforms, right? TikTok is one of those platforms. It's not particularly meant for professionals yet, although there's going to be far more opportunities in the future for professional development and education through TikTok. But the place that's really perfect for it, right? It is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great opportunity because you have a high level of organic reach. You can reach people without spending a whole lot of money. If you have a business you're trying to develop or organization you're trying to promote or whatever else, it provides you a whole lot of connection at a quality level. So a lot of the people that you're going to connect to are people that are actually serious, they're intentional, they're not in it they're not spending time on LinkedIn for any other reason besides professional development. Unlike TikTok, where it is a space for entertainment. Now, one thing I will say about this whole influencer culture is that it is slowly becoming extremely important for brands to have, micro influencers and influencers part of their strategy. If you think about, a recent report that came out about the highest paid CEOs and in America, and then right next to that, there's the highest paid TikTokers. There are some of those salaries are starting to match up because of the relevance of that attention that you get as an influencer. Now, enough about why you should build a personal brand. Let's talk about how. I believe there are two elements to building your personal brand. Number one, it's understanding who are you? Who are you as a person? What do you believe? What are your personal beliefs? What is your story? What's your differentiator? Anytime I talk to someone about, posting on social media and deciding who they are and telling their story, they're always like, my story, what's my story? I don't have any story. I lived a boring life and blah, 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 blah. But the reality is everyone has something unique and interesting to share, right? No matter who it is, based off the city demographics, the culture, to somebody else, it's very interesting. You could be living in some random city that's unincorporated, right? But to some other, in California, for example, that's very interesting that, you're living in an unincorporated city and it doesn't have developments and there's different stories behind it. There's different struggles behind it. And it provides a different perspective. So I would first and foremost get over this idea that you are not important. You have something to offer, but it's defining and figuring out what it is. And we'll go into a few different tactics that you can take to, figure out who you are. Number two, I think this is the second part we'll talk about today, is what to share. I know, it's amazing how many people say, I don't know what to post on social media. I have nothing to add. I have nothing to talk about. And the reality is, if you have a thought, if you have a perspective, if you have an opinion, you have something to share, whether that's how, your child's school should run, right? And you have a perspective on education. If it's a perspective about how your company should run, then you have a perspective on that industry. So you have a lot of things to share. It's just getting comfortable with putting it out there and dealing with the judgment. And good thing about LinkedIn is that you'll probably get less hate and less fighting and back and forth bickering in comparison to Facebook and Twitter and wherever else, because people want to stay professional. So my journey, One thing I went through many times in my life, I've tried really hard to figure out who I am. How do I define myself? How do I speak about myself um, to the public? And when people ask, "What do you do?" Right? This is a common question. What do you do? It's always hard because no one ever does one thing. They do one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight things, right? And each one of those things are so immensely powerful, important. But the approach that I take is when someone asks me, "What do you do?" I base it based off of what I do the majority of my time or the majority of what I think about, right? So initially, I put a bunch of words onto a screen and I said, "Who am I?" Well, I'm an award winning marketer. That sounds fun. I'm a doctoral student. That sounds cool. I'm also third culture. I lived in different countries and experienced different cultures. I'm also a digital fundraiser. I spend a lot of time fundraising and doing different projects. So in that sense, I'm a philanthropist, but I'm also a keynote speaker. I go out there and present. I'm also a coffee lover. I love my coffee. I drink coffee so much. I'm also an ambassador for the United Nations Association. I'm a husband. I'm faithful religiously. I have a nonprofit. I create content. I'm a millennial. There's all of these different terms, right? So what I would suggest for anyone who's trying to figure out who they are, put all of those words up onto the board and take a look at them and try to reflect on all of those different things and hone it down to a few things. And when it came down to it, I defined myself by these four key areas. And I believe I'm blocking one of them, which is I'm a nonprofit founder. I'm an award-winning marketer. I'm a doctoral student, right? Those are the four areas that I really believe I spend most of my time. It's the reason I connect with other people. I connect with other people because they run a nonprofit or they're a funder or they're interested in nonprofit work. So I have that connection. I'm a marketer. That is my skill. That is my essential skill and trait. So I am constantly connected with marketers and speaking to them about different things related to marketing. I am a keynote speaker. I educate people. I'm constantly on different platforms. So I am that for sure. And finally, I am a doctoral student. And I engage with other students that are academics and thinkers and researchers and things like that. So when I think about those four key items, I decide, I want to build my LinkedIn profile and who I am around that. And then tell my story, right? Obviously, these are four keywords that I want to include in my headline. So in my headline, I put in there very boldly, I'm a nonprofit founder, so I can connect with other founders. I'm a digital marketing director, so I connect with other digital marketing directors. I'm a university leader, so I connect with other university leaders. So I try to make it very clear in my headline. So as soon as somebody sees me, they know exactly what I am and what I do. And they can make that decision whether I'm in their scope of interest to connect with or not, right? Now, if I put something in there vague, like, I don't know, I like cats. Obviously, I love cats. But is that the basis to connect with other people? Maybe if you're in a cat industry and you love cats and you want to connect with cat owners, that makes sense, right? But if that's not the primary goal of what you're doing on LinkedIn, then probably that's not the best thing to define yourself by. Although I think it's great. I love cats, and they're definitely bring a lot of joy. Now, next part of this is creating a story for yourself on your LinkedIn profile. You want to be able to tell your story succinctly and clearly, and there's different tactics to be able to do that. I have three examples for you all. I'll start with this one here. This one is Katrina Ortiz. She's a lead software developer at Insurance Technologies, and she begins her summary with a bang. She starts with an attention-grabbing statement. I caught fire coding. People immediately think, what? You caught fire coding? How did you catch fire coding? And then she goes further into it, and she says, I always thought my dream was to be a proofreader for Little India Publishing Company, sipping my cafe con leche, reading the opening times to the next best selling vampire novel, and then she goes into how she eventually slowly became somebody who wanted to provide, become a coder or become a developer. So there's a personal story to that career change that she highlights, and that personal touch takes, it really brings focus to her story and lets you resonate through her journey and not get bogged down in the keywords, right? I know too often many people just want to dump a bunch of keywords in there, and then people are like, okay, well, this person does X, Y, and Z, and that's it, right? But this summary section really allows you to create a relationship because you caught them with the headline. You're in their network, but now they're on your page, and you have a story to tell, and that will engage them further and bring them closer to your brand. Here's another great example, Daniel Thurnberg. He ties his career choice back to his youth. So he said, ever since I was a little kid, software development has been my passion. I still remember sitting in front of an Atari 800 computer with the basic cartridge loaded in it, load in, making a print, hello, Dan, for the very first time. As I went through the basic tutorial, it was almost magic. So he ties his personal passion into his career choice. And it's interesting because it's software engineering. For a lot of people, software engineering is a dry topic. What's the passion behind it? But if you really think deeply, you can highlight the love for your career into your story. He's good at this because he also ties in his skills and his keywords into his story, which is really, really critical. And one thing that we don't notice from this is that there's not an expansive amount of experience in his career. But when he details his knowledge, his passion, and all of this, it really brings out his expertise without a whole lot of job experience. And then the next example, which I thought was really great, is Guido Matthew. He has a strong opener, and he explains why he does and what he does. So he says, "I love to deal with customer problems and solve them with modern technology." Right, and then he breaks it down in this really interesting format because it captures your attention. Right, he breaks down his accomplishments into three parts. He has different bullet points for each one, and he ties it back to the lessons that he learned. So it also shows his introspective nature. And then at the end, he has a simple request to connect. So I think these are all great examples of how you can tell your story and talk about yourself. Real quick, before I get to the next section, if everyone could, leave a comment, and if you have any questions or anything like that, I'll quickly respond to any quick, immediate questions that you have, and then we'll get into the next portion of the discussion, which is what to post. So I'll give it a second or two. I don't see any questions or comments. Let's see. Anybody have any questions, comments? If I was an influencer at this moment, when you take this break, you tell everyone, please comment, like, and subscribe. That's how it usually goes. So you are on my YouTube channel, so please comment, like, and subscribe. Awesome. So no questions there. Let's go ahead and get started with the next portion. Just before we get to the next section, remember, everything that you do with your keywords, your story, and everything else, you are search engine friendly because LinkedIn does work like a search engine. Your profile does come on Google. So any keywords, things that you mention, it allows you to be more search friendly. Now, the next part of the question, the next part of the equation, what to post. Everyone's like, what do I post? What do I have to offer? And honestly, there is hundreds of things to post. Everyone has an opinion on some of the things that people are talking about these days, from college debt to the Great Resignation to what to put in a resume, the coronavirus, if you feel comfortable talking about that. how to keep young workers. You have all these different things. And LinkedIn provides you with a great tool, which is LinkedIn News on your homepage, that provides you with clear topics that are trending on LinkedIn. This is from a few days ago. So, one of the top things that I saw in my newsfeed was the case for slow email. Why you should take time and write your emails slowly, which it's something that we think about, and we always write emails. So, do you have an opinion on that? You could share the article and you can comment on that. Another topic that was trending the other day was about Wharton students. They were schooled by Twitter, right? And there was a lot of questions about that and comments and ideas and thoughts. The $9 burrito, $9 for a burrito, that's another question about inflation, what you should include in your resume, so many different things. So when you think about what to post, the LinkedIn news section is a great place to start and just to begin thinking about what are people talking about, right? If I want to grow my LinkedIn network really fast, if I was in your space, I would literally post about the top things every single day because you're joining the conversation. And throughout you posting every single day for 30 days, it's going to click. It's going to resonate. You might become trend. You might trend, or you might actually captivate a whole lot of people with your opinion. So you'll start building a network based off of your perspective on that key topic. Now, we'll quickly run through the different types of things that you can post to engage. Polls are by far one of the most engaging things to do on LinkedIn. Last year I put a quick poll out there. What's been your biggest marketing challenge? Immediately, people start commenting, clicking the poll, and you get a high level of engagement, and you get an extra boost for putting a poll out there. A quick hack, if you want to increase your engagement, well, use hashtags, comment, respond to comments, tag people in your posts. Those are all important things. Share it via message to people directly and say, I want to get your perspective on this, right? Those are all different ways to engage with people using your piece of content, polls, and everything else alike. Number 2, which I thought was a big hit. It was a big win for me because I didn't even expect it. I didn't even try this tool at all, which is LinkedIn's newsletter tool, right? LinkedIn has an embedded tool where you can start creating newsletters and writing articles. And, I didn't think about it. I signed up for it one day because I signed up for one person. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. This person, I get an email in the inbox and I get a notification every time they should publish an article. So I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to create the Boz Weekly. And it's become more the Boz, bi-monthly because, I try to put out as much as I can, but it's usually every other week where I put out a long form piece of content, and I branded it around myself, right? I put my name in it. I included an image of myself in every one of the posts. It looks a little narcissistic to some people, but it also helps me build a relationship with people by allowing people to see my face. So in these articles, people subscribe so you can invite all of your followers. Matter of fact, I think within like a week of me starting the newsletter and inviting my subscribers, almost everyone got a notification. I think I got like 800 signups in a week. And I don't have that many followers, but it was just sort of like an easy hack because it had high organic reach. Everyone heard about it because they got a notification and they started signing up. And now the next step after people sign up is creating value. So articles on LinkedIn do really well when they're long form. You can bring your best content and perspective. It's not the place for fluff. I think a lot of us, we feel like, hey, let me put it stuff in there like the top 5 reasons to, I don't know, blah, 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 something really easy, right? I think it's really about creating value that sets you apart and get into the micro sort of niche. And, obviously couple it with some general articles now and then, but it's always about providing your perspective. So when I write, I am very clear. I write about leadership, marketing, and mindset, with the majority of my articles being my perspective on marketing. So I began with TikTok, which I said, I wrote a little article about why TikTok is changing business in 2022. I wrote another article on why universities need to teach digital skills, things that I know about at a deep level. I've thought about. I can produce metrics and data and all of that stuff when I need to create this piece. And the more value you provide, the more the people will want to share, comment, and engage with your content. Number 3, video is king. Video is taking over every platform. If you think about it, Instagram said they are no longer a photo sharing app. They are a video entertainment app. And I think, to really take it to the next level, whatever you're doing, create video. And it takes a whole lot of being uncomfortable. For me, I practiced. I generally can communicate well, but video, you get sort of nervous because you're staring into a camera. I spent all of last year, I think, making almost 500 to 1,000 short videos just to get the practice, right? Just to get the engagement right, the gestures right, and looking at people the right way. I spent a whole lot of time practicing because I understood that the next wave is video and audio. Really, audio is going to be a big part of it too, but video is really key in engaging in audiences, and not enough people share video. So it's up for grabs because the minority of people make videos and share videos on a consistent basis. So if you do that, you'll get a whole lot more engagement, visibility, presence, because you're up against a smaller group of people with video. Another thing about video, which is really helpful, is you will need a hook, right? The first 3 seconds are so critical to the video. That's why a lot of YouTubers come out there and they say stuff like, give me like 5 minutes and I'll tell you the secrets to making a whole lot of money or something, right? They come out there and say some absurd statement because you're like, to one extent, you're like, this guy's just full of it. But you're also curious. So there's all these different tactics to hook people in within the first 30 seconds, right? So I would think, really deeply about those first few seconds to engage people and then start providing value when you create content. Another key aspect of video is having text because a lot of times people just sort of scroll on their phone and they watch the video without listening to audio. And then having a strong headline that pulls people in. This video did really good for me because it said strategy versus skill, the truth about talent. So, there's almost like that polarizing thing going on there, but then there's also like this secret about what is it about talent, right? And people were really curious to see, what I had to say about the two. So I think, if there was something I plan to do all of this year, it's to create a whole lot of video content and engage with people. Number 4, we all have accomplished something. And I don't think people should play themselves short. Accomplishment is anything that you've done to get from any place. It's if you failed once and you got up even a little bit, right? That is an accomplishment. So I think it's very important to share personal stories and celebrate yourself. I think we are now moving past this sort of phase where we have this cookie cutter image of this perfect person that graduates perfectly, gets the right job on time, the right career that they need, right? And they have the right resume, they have the right set of accomplishments, and they've never failed. I think we've moved past that. We all have failed in our careers, our personal lives, at school to some extent. And it's become okay to share that struggle because that struggle allows us to be vulnerable and connect with other people, and people feel that you're human. The last thing you want to do is hire someone when you ask them the question, what's one area you failed at? And they just say, I haven't failed at anything. I've been doing everything perfectly my whole life. No, we want to see that somebody has been able to pivot and do better after a failure. So I try to share that as much as I can. I probably could be a little bit more vulnerable, but I usually do it anytime I win an award or recognition. I post about it. It builds a little bit of credibility when people say, what does this guy do? So I think if there's any place to celebrate yourself and it's a given, it's LinkedIn. because on Instagram you're like, oh, you're just full of yourself. TikTok, you're just like, why are you posting about yourself? Facebook, same thing. But LinkedIn, we are all here to brag and grow in our careers, network, and have visibility. So I think be comfortable with posting about yourself. Number 5, tweets. This is an easy thing you can post. If you go on Twitter, if you don't even use Twitter, tweet something, take a screenshot, post it back onto your Twitter, on your LinkedIn page. It's an easy way to get some engagement and share inspirational thoughts, and get people, motivated, right? I posted something about, don't judge your skills by the first attempt. Tell me when you've tried 1,000 times and you're still bad at it, because most people give up. So I think, tweets are a great way to engage with people. Taking a screenshot, posting it. You don't have to do a whole lot of graphic work. You don't have to be an expert at design or anything like that. And then finally, I think this is just one of the most critical tools that we can use. It gets a high level of engagement. It's carousels. It's putting out these little, guides, 1 to 5 steps on things that they could do to understand themselves. I did one the other day. I did about 3 in the last couple of weeks. One on top LinkedIn hacks, another one on how to become an influencer on LinkedIn, and then I did one on the keys to self-knowledge to help you find your passion, reflect on it, try new things, take a test. People can, scroll on their carousel, on their phones, on their computers, and they get that level of engagement because they can't see the next thing without scrolling. So people are always tempted to scroll, and then they would want to leave a comment or whatever if they find it interesting. So this has been a whole lot of information, a whole lot of unpacking. These are things that I truly believe that if you do well and you do it consistently, you can really build your presence on LinkedIn and build a personal brand. Real quick, I will just quickly tell you my story. That way you can kind of hear, how I tell it. There's no perfect way. I think it's really about being human. For me, I am a digital marketer. I've been marketing my entire life. My parents, they migrated from India. I grew up here. My dad worked for Oracle. He was a computer software engineer. So I've been actually marketing from a very young age, and that drove my passion to get involved in the space. At the age of 17, I started a nonprofit organization where I took $1,000 and was able to run a whole lot of campaigns and build a massive nonprofit, which I've been able to raise over $500,000 just that year. And over the years, it's been over, I think, almost 5 to 10 million, somewhere around there. And I was able to expand into an endowment. So my passion really is digital marketing. But what I want to do is use that to create change in the world. So I work at a nonprofit university right now, helping scale their student enrollment and engage with people. So in a very short, sort of brief approach, I think that is my story. And I think there's many ways to talk about it, get into the details. But when people ask me, what do you do? That's how I sort of tell the story. And I try to say it in many different ways. So I appreciate everyone's time, spending time listening. Feel free to comment on any of these posts, message me, ask any questions. I know this is a lot of information in a short amount of time. For some people, you all are experts and you already know this, but there's a lot of tactical things that maybe in the future I will try to do webinars about. I think I'm going to probably do 1 to 2 webinars a month on different topics related to marketing. So feel free to subscribe to my newsletter, engage with me, and I will keep you posted. Let's see if I have any questions here. Okay. Is it a good practice to share posts every day, like you mentioned in trendy topics? I think you should post every day if you have value to give every day. LinkedIn is a value-driven platform. So, other platforms, it's quantity-based. TikTok, you need to post more to get more presence. Twitter, you have to post more. Instagram, you have to post more. But LinkedIn, because you have that high organic reach, I think it's about bringing the most value. So I would not burn yourself out on posting every day just for the heck of it. I would do it if you have something of value to provide. Awesome. So hopefully that answered that question. What tools do you use to create a carousel? Honestly, there's a couple of ways to do it. Number one, Twitter is a great way. You can do Twitter carousels. If you go on Twitter and you tweet something and you click the plus button at the bottom, you can tweet again, and then you can tweet again. And you can have a 5 sort of tweet chain. And then if you screenshot each one, you have enough to create a carousel and put onto LinkedIn. That's one way. So you have a little carousel of tweets. Another approach is to use Canva, creating little graphics. Canva has so many different carousel templates that you can utilize to create little guides and mini things. I try to create my personal touch on every one of them. I try to take a picture of myself doing something dumb or just looking into the air, just so people know that it's me. It's not just the simple template that everyone is copying. It's has that personal touch to it. Cool. Any other questions? Let's see. I'm open to any questions. Feel free to ask. Let's see if anyone has any questions from any of the other platforms. Cool. It does not seem like I have too many other questions. I think we're good. Feel free to connect with me. Like I mentioned, I appreciate all of your time. Again, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be putting out more content. And I appreciate it, everyone. I look forward to connecting. I think in the future, I would love to be able to just even interact with people, see everyone's faces. I always feel weird presenting to myself, and I can't really see everyone. But that's sort of the world we live in. So I appreciate everyone's time, and I look forward to connecting with everyone in the future. Thank you again.